If your rear brakes are sticking on your, this is a VW up, but it could be a Polo, could be a Corsa, any vehicle with rear brake drums on it, and your handbrake's sticking on in the morning, and then it seems to make a large clonk and it lets itself off. This is the reason why, and this is how to overcome it. On most of the VWs, it's quite an easy way of taking the drum off. Just undo this small torque spark, give the drum a little bit of a crack with a hammer, and it comes loose. When you take it off, you will see a hell of a lot of dust inside. That dust, when it's mixed with water, rainwater, turns into a cement, a bit like when you mix flour and water together. And it has the effect of gluing the drum shoe lining material onto the drum so that the brake gets hot whilst you're driving it. You mix up all this paste and cement inside the drum whilst you're driving, and you put the handbrake on, walk away from your car, the heat bakes it solid and then welds the shoe to the drum. So what we do is we take the drum off, we get ourselves onto the brake shoes, we get ourselves some coarse emery paper, and we rub this coating off the brake shoe. Sometimes they can be properly welded on there, these deposits. So you've got to get down to the actual friction lining, which is this colour. So you take off this outer crust. You do that on both shoes. And you get your same paper. And you clean the inside of the drum. Again, you're cleaning off this crust that's built up inside the drum. You're taking all that off, back down to the actual metal of the drum, getting it nice and clean and deglazed. Then you're going to get yourself some solvent, brake cleaner. Gently just wash out all the dust that's built up inside on the components of the brake. Make sure it's a solvent. It can't be anything other than this specifically designed solvent, which dries off really quickly and doesn't lubricate your brake. Don't concentrate too much on these areas here because they've got lubricant on them to help them work. You don't want to wash all that away. But get the dust away. Then you need to adjust the brake. Can you come over that side? So when you're adjusting the brake on the VW system, we've got a tapered wedge here, which works between this lever and the brake shoe. There's a spring on it pulling it down all the time. Every time the brake moves out, this one slides down slightly and adjusts this travel up so that you always keep close contact with the drum. So it's a self-adjusting mechanism. If you watch this little wedge now, when I open it up, you'll see it go down. And what that does is has the effect of pushing the shoe out, and that's how we adjust it. When you're trying to release the brake for the first time, say the drum is stuck on, the easy way to adjust it is to imagine the drum's in place now. You put your screwdriver through, you've got to look through this hole, line it up with this little wedge. You put your screwdriver in underneath the little wedge, give it a little jiggle and push it up. That will release the drum adjuster and allow you then to get the drum off. Clean it all up. Then when you're putting it back together, you do the same thing. You move the adjuster down, you try the drum in place. Still feels a little bit loose, so you go a little bit more. And one more. should do it. Just 2 or 3 clicks at a time. I lied, 2 more. That feels quite nice there. Just so you can slap the drum on with your hand. And you can just hear the shoes touching the drum there. And that's your rear brakes serviced. Nice and easy. So that's cleaning and adjusting your rear brake drums on your VW Polo, your Up, Corsa, whichever it may be. But also something to bear in mind, and something that people seem to do quite a lot, is they adjust the handbrake on the cable inside the car, and they don't adjust the brakes correctly on the brake shoes, as I mentioned earlier on. So when we look at this brake setup here, this tapered plunger here is the thing that adjusts the brakes. We don't wind the cable up inside the car. You can tell that somebody's already done that on this car, because if you look at this handbrake lever, the handbrake lever is quite a way forward. When you pull the handbrake on, that lever goes forward, and then that lever pushes on this bar here and operates your handbrake. Somebody's wound it up on the handbrake cable, and they've already lost most of their handbrake travel by winding it up here. So that's maladjustment of the rear brakes and can also lead to trouble. So what you want to do is get into the car, release the handbrake adjuster so that this lever comes all the way back here, then adjust your brakes up the correct way up here as I showed you earlier, and then once all that's done and it's back together, then you adjust your handbrake so that you've got reserve travel left on it. And then your rear brake drums will be serviced and operating correctly and not give you any hassle. Good. Another quick tip to bear in mind when you're cleaning up your rear brakes, it can be quite awkward to try and get your finger in there to rub this part of the shoe down, because there's a recess there and it's difficult to get in. So what I use is this is an old bicycle tire lever, and I put a little bit of tape, emery tape, around it, and then I can get in there with that. That allows me to get right into the deepest edge, and then I can give it a good thorough clean. Bear in mind that most of the crud will be built up around the bottom of the rear shoe. That's where most of the dirt gets picked up and deposited onto the shoe. So you've got to be really, really careful about getting all of that off. Good luck.